Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Thank you for listening to this segment, which is an excerpt from Speech in the Silence, the official podcast of Blazing Star Oasis in the San Francisco Bay Area, California. Speech in the Silence is a monthly program offering lectures, music, interviews, readings, announcements, and news. See the comments section on this video for a link to the complete program where this segment was first heard. Visit speechinthesilence.com to subscribe to the podcast to hear new programming as soon as it is available. Be sure to visit us on the web at speechinthesilence.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and like us on Facebook at Speech in the Silence. You may contact us at thelemapodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Love is the law. Love under will.
In Chicken Kabbalah, I was privileged to know Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford before he disappeared. And Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford had what he called 10 Command Rants. And so these 10 Command Rants are this: all is one. Okay, I call it the big what it is. And what it is no more stupid than any of the other meanings for the divine names in the universe. What it is. All is one. This is the big monotheistic thing. People think that the Egyptians worshipped a million gods. Well, they worshipped a million aspects of one God. The Hindus worship a million aspects of one God. All is one. It's not completely impossible for us to wrap our minds around the big totality of everything, beyond which there is nothing. It's like we back our camera up to the widest angle shot that we can possibly do, and beyond that there's nothing. Okay, we are part of this one. As a matter of fact, if lightning would strike me right now and this is all you hear, we are that one. Right now we're little islands, we're little terminals of the one. Expanding your consciousness means that your network becomes more and more and more and more inclusive of other consciousness monads. Are you following that? Okay. At the very end of your journey, as just before you go, you realize, we will all realize that we are one. I remember the time it seemed like Lon was talking to me, but it was me talking to me. And I'll get to the point where it seemed like I was talking to them, but I was just talking to myself. So that's all is one. Second command rant. First command rant is a lie. All is nothing. What is bigger than God? Nothing. What's more holy than God? Nothing. What's sexier than God? Nothing. What's more evil than God? Nothing. Nothing is a positive thing. As a matter of fact, in order for nothing to be an unpositive thing, we have to break nothing into three kinds of nothing. There's nothing that's really nothing. There's nothing that's defined. Then there's nothing that realizes its nothingness, and in doing so becomes a one. See, this is why you take acid at first. There really isn't a creation, time or space, heaven or earth, but there is a you. We perceive there's a creation, time and space, heaven and earth, because of a fundamental defect in our powers of perception. This defect cannot be repaired, but it can be overcome. Look, we don't have the equipment to understand all of this properly. In order for us to, we don't really understand this, we have to become it. And in order to do that, we have to occupy our machinery while we rise above it. In order to overcome our defective powers of perception, we must be willing to abuse them until they break. Now that doesn't mean go stare at the sun till you become blind, or go listen to loud, bad music until you become deaf. But it does mean you need to engage your powers, defective powers of perception, in such a way as if you want to look at it like this, you have a little nervous breakdown, and in that nervous breakdown you rise above what it is that has occupied your mind. In a way, that's the theory behind Kabbalistic thought, Kabbalistic exercises. In order for you to overcome all of that and engage your mind, you buy into the obvious reality that everything in heaven and earth is connected to everything else in heaven and earth. And just think about it. Your foot's connected to the carpet, and the carpet's connected to the floor is connected to the foundation is connected to the earth is connected to the sky is connected to space is connected to everything. Okay, tapping your foot is tapping something on Mars, on Alpha Centauri, on some spiral galaxy someplace. Everything's connected. Okay. And it's relatively connected to everything in heaven and earth is the reflection of everything in heaven and earth. Not only that, but everything contains the pattern of everything in heaven and earth. If that's the case, look hard enough at anything, and you will eventually see everything. Now, I love stories of Buddhist monks. One day the Buddhist monk came up to Buddha and said, where can I find Godhead, or where can I find the Buddha? And the answer is 5 pounds of flax, or in the dog excrement. Okay, and it's true. Because of all of this, everything connected to everything else. Look hard enough at the dog excrement, you're going to see the Buddha eventually. So, when you get tempted to get down on the Hebrew Kabbalists for trying to find all of the truth in the universe out of the Bible, and we all know that the Bible is, oh God. Well, if you can find it in dog excrement, then you can find it in the Bible too. So the thing is, look hard enough at anything, you'll eventually see everything. The Kabbalists try to, from the outset, have you put yourself in God's position. It's exactly what physicists have to do. It's exactly what physicists. I watch Nova. I watch PBS a lot because that's all I'm allowed to watch at home. And all of these quantum physics show and Novas, and they must be so lucky to sit around without a tie, with their hair all messed up and beards untrimmed, and sitting around just talking about stuff all day, thinking about stuff all day, putting themselves in God's place. Well, what happened what was the singularity like, and what preceded the singularity? Was there a precedent to the singularity? And wow, there was no space around the singularity, and the space was actually created, and space was created as the singularity expanded. And I love shit like that. I just love it. But the Kabbalists were putting themselves in God's place from the very beginning. Now, all of this may not seem like a practical thing to you about integrating your magical, but it is. This is fundamental to your thinking. Okay? Because it's not like you're going to integrate magic, Kabbalah, into your life. You plant it inside you like an alien, like Prometheus, you know. You implant it. It grows in you. It replaces the old you with this new magical entity that is dealing with this stuff all the time. I know we've all got, or most of us have jobs of some kind. If you're lucky, you've got jobs of some kind. We meet people that don't think about this stuff at all. People that we wouldn't even have this conversation. People you wouldn't invite to come with you today to this, but they can still buy the album. And then we go home. Some of us have little altars. We do maybe morning disciplines. We do little rituals. We do meditations, breathing exercises. A lot of people do Tai Chi and stuff like. But your whole life, 24/7, is a magical operation. Okay, the whole thing is there is nothing to integrate. There just isn't. And this idea that you spend just a little bit of time putting yourself in deity's position. How would deity create it? The physicists trying to explain how the dimensional universe that we mistakenly believe we're moving around in happened. The Kabbalists had this idea of the singularity, just like the Big Bang. Okay, but instead of immediately blowing up like that, they tried to explain it spatially by saying the point extended itself. And arbitrarily they called it up, and it extended into an infinite extension. The big question was, why the hell did the point want to create? That's the big mystery. Wouldn't you be happy just being in a point? I don't know. Whatever it was, one wanted to become self-aware. And there are certain schools of thought that hold that desire for self-awareness was the first big mistake. That everything was just cool, brooding in its potentiality. And in a way, it was. From that point of view, creation itself is a curse. Creation itself is an accident, a big mistake, a painful slowing down, a falling of the light. The Gnostics, or certain Gnostics, really took that ball and ran with it completely out of the stadium and said existence sucks. Matter is bad. Clean matter is even egocentric, so don't bathe, please. Now, there's a certain amount of truth to that. There's a certain amount of enlightenment to that. But it is stopped. It's arrested enlightenment to look at it that way. And there is no, in magic, in Kabbalah, there really isn't a moral imperative. We don't have moral absolutes in the same way other religions do. This is wrong, thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that. This is good, that's bad. We can't even say that pain is good, pain is bad. It's just pain is painful and no pain is not. But the idea that anything is in and of itself either good or evil is going to get us in trouble. It may be that if we backed our camera up all the way and we saw the nature of the supreme consciousness, the big whatever it is, and we saw that it was a hideous Lovecraftian octopus, jellyfish, something, that it was so evil and slimy and alien-y and awful and mean and evil and dark and stinky. So what? Does it help us to see that as evil? You may as well say that the big whatever it is transcendently good. With a capital G. I'll get to that in a second. Okay. Because kind of that's what it means to be a magician, is to wrap your mind around that big G. Okay. It extended straight up, and then from the center it extended and sealed the straight upness. It extended straight down, sealed the downness. That doesn't mean it just stopped it. It's just we can't wrap our minds around an infinite extension. That's all it means. But we see it like this, like where I'm touching the ceiling, touching the floor. That's number one. Then it reached to the left and right, sealed left and rightness, and formed a superfice, a plane. In Masonry, we're told in a very beautiful ceremony about the properties of geometry, and they actually say from a point to a line to a superfice to a solid, front and back. Mr. Up, down, Mr. Right, left, Mr. Front, back. In the beginning, God created three. This is what's going on inside the singularity that makes it expand as a sphere of expanding plasma energy. The Kabbalists saw it as all of those sealed walls, ceilings, intersecting at right angles and forming an infinitely expanding cube. This is the expanding Big Bang universe. This is the body of Nuit. This has created the three-dimensional universe that we're in. And the big gods that created it were really the numbers 3, 7, and 12. 3 with the up, down, right, left, front, back. 7 with the walls of the cube created by that, along with the central point, and the 12 oblique angles or edges of the cube. We are hardwired for 3, 7, and 12. 3 plus 7 make 10. We're hardwired for 10 also. Okay? Behold his mighty hand. Okay? Our hands are big things in Kabbalah, and they're big things in human consciousness. Because our funny little opposable thumb here really sets us apart from the beasts. And it's a singular thing, a one God that works against in four aspects. And we got 2 of them. There's 10 right there. Okay. And 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. So all of a sudden 4 becomes a big Kabbalistic number, and so everything. God's a 4 too. Gee. Thank goodness these people didn't have television. 10 and 12 adds 22. 3, 7, and 12 add to 22. 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. That's why you got to know your Hebrew alphabet. 3 mother letters, 7 double letters, and 12 simple letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Give you the 3 primitive elements of water, fire, and air. What happened to Earth? Earth is screwed. 7 double letters corresponding to the 7 planetary spheres, and 12 simple letters corresponding to the 12 signs of the zodiac. We're all hardwired with 3, 7, and 12. It's no big thing. You don't have to believe anything. You don't have to be a Kabbalist. We're walking around in a dimension that is 3, 7, and 12. We're just hardwired to do so. And of course that can, be applied to the tarot. And there's the yod. The Hebrew letter for word for hand is yod, and it's spelled YVD, which is not a public health question, but I was going to say I can wait. And YVD adds up to 20, and of course we've got 2 sets of digits down on our feet too, because we're made in the image of God, and so then we look like God. We got 5 fingers on one hand, 5 on the other, and in between those 5 fingers we've got a tongue. Okay, and the tongue separates us from the beasts too. Language is a big thing. Okay, I mean beasts, I'm sure, communicate, but and between the 2 sets of 5s in our toes, we've each of us have the naughty bits that make us procreative animals. We can replicate just like God, using the naughty bits. And count them all together, there's 22 right there. Another way of looking at it, and here's how the tree of life comes into play, because part of us integrating our magical life with our regular life is climbing our consciousness step by step right back up this tree. But here's how the tree comes down. 1 wanted to become self-aware, so it reflected itself. Oh, that's what I am. Oh, I instantly created a 3rd condition when I created number 2, because I realized there's a difference between me and my reflection. That's a 3rd condition. Does that make sense? You can't create 2 without creating 3. 3 comes right along with it. It's a bonus. Okay. And so what you've created is really a Trinity unit. 1, 2, and 3 is just one thinking about itself. And the same momentum that caused 2 to be reflected from 1, oh, I have a little pointer. 2 was reflected from 1 and instantly created 3. So the same thing starts to happen with Trinity units. There's the reflected Trinity unit, and there is the 3rd one that comes along instantly. Now that is just perfect. If we would gain complete enlightenment, if we'd get all of our poop together, if we would unload all the baggage that we need to unload, we would be this perfection. And it would only take a minute for us to realize that this 3rd condition was just like this 3, and that this reflected Trinity was just like that 2, and that this 2 is simply a reflection of what we really are. It would happen really fast if we could get to this perfected place. And we're almost there. But that doesn't look like a tree of life, does it? Because a tree of life has 10 emanations, 10 sephiroth. It's as though this something happened, tree of life-wise, that this divine perfection of numbers and expressions and concepts squinted its eyes and pinched its face and grunted out a number 10, as if an attempt to start the whole thing over again. As a matter of fact, we could look at the number 10 as a phantom number 1, and that's where it is. It is a phantom number 1. Okay. Kabbalistic axiom. Malkuth is in Kether as Kether is in Malkuth, only after a different manner. Another axiom, alchemical, from the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. As above, so below. Now it doesn't say Yesod is in Kether as Kether is in Yesod, only after a different, it doesn't say that. And Emerald Tablet of Hermes doesn't say as above, so in the middle. It says as above, so below. Malkuth is in Kether as Kether is in Malkuth. Remember me saying Earth was screwed, or Troy wisely brought that up? Earth is a screwed element. Earth belongs down there. This is where we are. Okay, this is where we think we're going to have to integrate our magic into our life, bring it down into here. Okay, but we're deluded. We're even deluded into thinking we're here. We're even deluded into thinking there is a here. Number 10, Earth has something in common with number 1 that number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 don't have. That's a little bit of absolutely everything. So when the Gnostics were saying, oh, matter is so evil, we're just trapped in matter. And when the Christian doctrine would say, oh, we're just filthy rags and there's nothing and we're trapped, we're in a tomb of matter and we have to escape by having some guy in San Antonio, Texas tell us how to get out. And no, I'm sorry. We're not trapped in a tomb of matter. The tomb of matter is our escape pod. We really do take it with us because there's no way we can leave any of it behind. That, of course, is connected by the 22 paths. Okay. We see all of these 10s. We put 10 under a microscope and we see the number 4. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. 10 is concealed in number 4. The Hebrews simultaneously to this 10 factor here. They said simultaneously we got a 4 thing going on, and they developed this formula of Yod He Vav He. This is why we've got four major elements. This is why we've got 4 directions. This is why we've got 4 suits in the tarot. This is why we look at everything broken up into 4 sections. And these 4 sections are parts of our soul and parts of our reality. Now, you could break our souls up into any number you want. Pick one, okay? We're dealing with the same universe. We're dealing with the same monads of consciousness. It's just for convenience sake that we're breaking it up into 4s. So we can play with it, so we can integrate it into our lives. The great name, Yod He Vav He. It's 4 letters. Yod He Vav He. It's 4 letters, but they only use 3 letters. Yod for fire, He for water, Vav for air, and another He for earth, because earth is screwed. Doesn't even get its own goddamn Hebrew letter. Okay? But the He final is very important because that's where we think we're stuck at the moment. We think we're stuck there. We think we're screwed. Why do we look at Earth as separated from everything else? Why are we asleep? Why do we think we are somehow trapped in a tomb of matter separated from God? This is the key.